This is Craig Reber, Telegram sports editor, with a special edition of Pigskin Review. With me is my guest, Scotus head football coach Jim Puetz. And Jim, it's to say the least, it was quite a football season. How does it feel?
Well, fantastic. Really, you know, we thought going into the football season that we'd have a good football team, but as far as dreaming of winning a state championship, you know, it's kind of unreal. And especially when you have to play 4 games against the caliber of football teams that we had to go against at the end of the season. And it's really a fantastic feeling and very gratifying feeling to be able to associate with a good group of kids and a coaching staff like we have at Scotus. And finally we got the ultimate reward, the state championship.
It wasn't the easiest of brackets to be in either, was it?
No, in fact, if you take a look at as far as ratings going into the playoff situation, the number 1 team in the state going in was Grand Island Northwest. The number 2 team was Omaha Roncalli. I think we were ranked about 4th or 5th at that time, and so in other words, 3 of the top 5 teams were in our bracket, and it made it pretty tough.
And all those teams that you went against too, what I noticed, they had great running backs in the playoffs. It just
that's true.
Easier.
Each team had a running back that, in fact, 2 of the teams that we played had running backs that have full rides at the University of Nebraska. Starting with Wood River, they had this Sam Schmidt, big 6'3", 220-pound running back that has good speed, has a full ride at Nebraska, and we shut him down to about 30 yards. And then the next ball game, Aurora had an excellent running back in Kirk Reichard. He has about 1,400 yards rushing this season. And then in the third ball game against Roncalli, they had this, I can't think of his name right now.
Phil Higgins?
Phil Higgins, right. We should remember that because we had all kinds of nicknames for him in the game. Barry. We didn't have Phil. That was your man at the Telegram. It inspired our kids.
Drill Phil.
Drill Phil. That was our little saying in that ball game. But Phil Higgins, he had 1,500 yards rushing, and he's probably an all-stater. And then in the last ball game, another Nebraska football player bumped Novacek. So we did run against some of the better backs in the state of Nebraska, but I think our own backfield, especially Keith Neal, didn't back down to any of them. In fact, he out-yarded them and outplayed every one of those backs in all the 4 ball games.
Let's take a look at the game films of the championship against Gothenburg. Okay,
we won the toss and elected to kick off like we have during the entire season. And there, Jeff Pedraza kicks it right out of the end zone. This kid really had a kicking night. I think he was really high. The adrenaline was pumping, and he really did a good job. I think we sort of showed the caliber of football we're going to play from the first down there. Steve Bonk makes one of his normal tackles. When he hits somebody, he drills him pretty good. Here they try a sweep pass, and we had it pretty well covered. You could see Jeff Lassick coming over there to cover the ball, and you can see we're pretty emotional, and that's the way we have to play. We don't really have any superstars, but we have a bunch of kids that can really play hard. Here they run their superstar, Novacek, for about a 1-yard gain, or actually nothing. They're forced to kick, and their kicker, he's supposed to be over a 40-yard kicker, and I think he averaged about 35, or less than 35. Carl Rosa caught the ball there and gives us good field position here.
Tell you, Jim, you couldn't have picked a better night to play a football game last Friday. It was beautiful.
No doubt about it. It was the best night one of the best nights of the year.
Considering November.
That's right. The middle of November, November 16th, and on that last play there, we got stuck with a 15-yard penalty. We made a nice first down and got stuck with a 15-yard penalty, which hurt us all night. Here they pursued well too. They're a good defensive ball club. In fact, only once during the season did their opponents score more than 6 points in a ball game. Here we get a kick, and Jeff Pedraza kicks the thing totally out of the end zone. I mean, it's about a 65-yard kick there. I didn't kick it totally out of the end zone. He kicked it right to the end zone, but they called that it went over, and very close. I think it was still a 55-yard kick. So they're on the 20-yard line here. We, in a sense, have good field position. They don't. They run a fullback dive. That's got a pretty good athlete, that 25 Wilson, and he's a 55-foot shot putter. You can see Bump Novacek there. He's their gun, and actually, as far as we were concerned, he's kind of a slow starter, and because of this, he can't get to the line of scrimmage. I don't think he had very many yards all night. Here they just about broke it loose.
They ran out of the power eye, Jim.
They run out of the power eye, and as you can see, they have a man in motion here. They like to run the option there, and here they fake to the inside and hit a guy across the middle for their first down. Novacek is going out wide. We're getting some good pursuit there, but it just wasn't good enough. Our linebacker, Jeff Pedraza, is supposed to drop back and cover that, and apparently he got fooled. Here they try a sweep, and they make 3 or 4 yards. You can see when he gets rolling, he's a pretty tough football player.
He is big. Was he about 6'3"?
Yeah, he's 6'4", and weighs about 212. And here they break out in the open here, and that's Jeff Lassick making a saving tackle there.
What were you thinking then, Jim?
Well,
Two big gainers.
You know, they were moving pretty good, but I think this is what's going to happen here. We get about a good rush from our interior line there and our ends, and you know, they lose 15 yards, so that basically knocked them out. You can see Bob Klopnowski, there's Mark Cranes, and Don Rackenoff putting tremendous pressure on, and that took them totally out of the situation. Here they run the fullback for about 7 yards. I think this is going to be about the most success that they had until the end of the fourth quarter. But they were putting great pressure on again and forcing him to throw the ball when he really doesn't want to throw.
That's the way you win football games.
That's right.
Make an offense do what they don't want to do.
That's exactly right. Again, they don't really get a real good kick here. That ball could have went down to about the 5-yard line, but we get it on about the 15. And we bang away there for about 5. Keith Neal had 170 yards rushing in this ball game, which is very good. Here we run a quick trap for very little. That's our wingback trap, or our halfback, we call him. Here we try a sweep, and Keith breaks loose, and I think he gets the first down on that play.
I bet Neal soaked his legs for a while after.
I'll tell you what, in the last 6 or 7 ball games, he carried the ball 35, 40 times. And we figured him carrying the football is, I mean, our other backs are pretty good, but he's a little bit better. And he does a good job here. They really pursue well, and they really nail him.
Were you afraid that they might have keyed at him? Were they, Jim?
Oh, I'm sure that, you know, when a team runs one player 35 times, you know that they're going to key on you. And on that one particular player. But Keith's a very tough, look at that, makes 4 yards after he's hit, and tremendous power in his legs. Okay, here we have to kick for the second time, and this ball here, I think travels about 75 yards. Take a look at that. And that ball is, and it was not a windy night either. It was just a beautiful night.
That's a definite offensive weapon too, and you've got a punter who can put the opponent back in the hole and
no question about it.
Shut the door on him. And
no question about it. That was one of the things that we knew that we had coming in. Jeff's been our kicker for the last 3 years, and you know, he's very consistent, and we know that he's going to do a good job for us.
Oh, it's still nothing. That had, you know, encouraged. Nothing. You shut them down other than a couple of big plays that they had. What were you thinking is?
Well, we knew we were in the ball game. It was 0-0, and we had a couple fairly good drives, and both of them were nullified with penalties, so we felt pretty good. And we had, our defense was shutting them down very well. Our kicking game was good, and here we get a nice gain for a first down. We felt pretty confident that we were going to be able to do a good job there. Mark Love really
real
runs
good
tough.
second effort.
He's going to be our big gun in the backfield next year, and I tell you what, we're, you know, obviously probably going to take a little bit of a step down because Keith is just absolutely outstanding. But I'll tell you, next year Mark Love carries the football as many times as Keith does. He's going to have, he might even be able to break Keith's record. He's going to be a good football player. There's Jeff Pedraza going for about another first down. There we run the I-back in what we call an isolation play. So we lead the fullback, and I think what we're doing is setting up a reverse. Yes, they're right there. There's Jeff Lassick. Totally does that on his own. I see Steve Monk got out of the road there.
Didn't want to run into him.
Look at this. It's well executed play. Okay, Steve Monk's out there, and he probably should have turned upfield. And maybe the confusion of him being there and everything confused them. And I think that was about a 15-yard play. Puts us in pretty good field position here. Here we bang the big fullback up there for about 3 yards. When I say big, I guess Jeff isn't any giant. He's 6'1", weighs about 180 pounds, but he does have outstanding speed. Okay, here we called the wrong play. They had outstanding pursuit there. We tried to go outside, and it didn't work. Okay, right here we thought the screen was really going to work, but look at this kid comes in, and they had a great pursuit there. I think we all went past the blockers, or the potential tacklers. Here we run a draw, excuse me, and missed the first down by just a few inches.
It's like a couple heavyweights slugging it out there, Jim. Just bing, 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 punch here, punch there. Still nobody's applied a knockout punch, or not a knockout punch, but a knockdown yet.
That's true. I mean, this is really a slugfest right now. I mean, it's about as physical a football as you want to see, especially at our level. And there's some talented athletes down here. Look at that. That kid's a big kid at 14. I mean, he's a 16-foot pole vaulter. He's a potential class champion in the hurdles. And like I said, he's a kid that's going to get a full ride at the University of Nebraska and probably any place he wants to go. So he's a very talented athlete. Here comes Jeff Lassick, makes a nice cut there, but wasn't good enough. They have a good pursuit.
Say, whoops, got to go the other way now.
Well, we had a man jump there. We made some mistakes in this football game that we haven't. All right, here we're going to try to fool them with our reverse pass. And Carl Rosa throws the ball, and it was actually a terrible pass, but Don Brackenoff makes a heck of a play. I mean, he sets up real nice, but the ball slips off his hand. It looks like kind of a dead duck.
Coming down and plunk.
And Brack there uses his body to shield him off, and this is what's going to set up our first score of the ball game, a field goal coming up.
Brackenoff's got a good size, though, too, doesn't he, Jim?
Excellent. He's 6'1", weighs about 175 pounds, and he's just a heck of a football player. Here we just about break it loose.
He put a nice little stutter step on that one defender.
That was a good job. Okay, we look like we're really moving it quick here. We have a third down now, and just a couple. And it looks like we're going to pop another one. I think we're going to make a mistake here again to keep us out of the end zone. Here's our fullback, gets about 3 yards. I think this is first down. Yes, this is first down. So it's first and goal on the 7 or 8 yard line. And we pop for about 3 yards there, thinking that we're in pretty good shape.
Grind.
We throw the football. He was wide open.
Ooh.
And we get a 5 yard penalty. We had a man in motion. That's what they said. We had a man in motion. We thought it was going to be a touchdown play. So instead of touchdown there, we are third and about 11. So we try a draw. I guess we were second and 11. Here we try to throw the ball again.
Same thing.
And this time Carl Rosa catches the football, but he's out of bounds. So now we're fourth and 10 or 11, and we figure it's right before halftime. We better go for the score. And Jeff puts one right through the middle, and we scored 3 points, which we felt was really good because that might have been enough to win, which wouldn't have been, but
there was enough for Lee that one.
That's right.
Nebraska Christian.
That's right. So we felt pretty good. See the balloons going out there.
Just like the Nebraska game, only green balloons.
Only green, huh? Yeah, I tell you what, we felt pretty good right now.
Now they probably wanted to get something on the board, probably any kind of drive or
Well, they really don't have enough time. It's a minute left, and I think we're going to sack the quarterback here. We get a good rush on Novacek. That's Bob Klopnowski there. That kid's only a junior, and that's the last play before the halftime. And we felt pretty good going into halftime. 3-0 wasn't a great lead, but they hadn't scored on us. They really hadn't come close to scoring, and we felt if we could come out the second half and get a drive on them and get another score, we could wrap the ball game up. which we did, but it really didn't wrap the ball game up.
With a swarm defense, too, oftentimes 3 points is enough to win. Jim, I have one question. Were you afraid of a possible letdown after Roncalli? Roncalli got a lot of ink, especially in the World Herald, about the tough Metro schedule that they played, and he played an excellent game against Roncalli, probably the best one of the season. Were you afraid of that with all the hoop-de-doo and hoorah about Roncalli?
Well, I'll tell you what we did. Right after the Roncalli football game, we won the football game, and we felt that we played just a normal football game. I don't think that was our best game, and it wasn't. It was one of our better games, and we beat them 14-13. And if you were at the football game and saw the situation, they were very lucky to be even close to us in that ball game. It probably should have been about a 21-7 ball game, and with no one saying it was a great upset. We came back after the ball game. We got our kids in the locker, and that's the first thing we talked about, is that hey, we had a great emotional effort out there, and but we did not play the state championship that night. That was on a Saturday night. We said, hey, we got the state championship the next Friday against Gothenburg. We told the kids to go out and enjoy their victory Saturday night and Sunday, and then Monday we're back down to business again, preparing for Gothenburg. And I think our kids did exactly that. There was no talk about being number one or anything the next week. We went out there and we knew that if we could beat Gothenburg, we could be the state champs. And I think our kids really took the ball game with the right emotional level, and we prepared for Gothenburg just like any other game. And I think we hit an emotional high, and we didn't have that letdown that you were mentioning. There's no doubt about it. I think Gothenburg was the second best team that we played all season, and obviously I think they deserve to be the number 2 team in the state.
Who was the best team you played?
Well, like I said, Gothenburg I think had more weapons than probably any team we played, and then I think the second best team we played was Aurora. In the quarterfinals of they were probably the most physical of all the teams that we played. I'm sure that they felt that we were the most physical because I think it was our hitting ability that probably won us the football game. I don't think they were used to that constant pounding that took place in that ball game, but we felt that they were probably the best team that we played, or the best. I'm sure that, like I said, Gothenburg was good, but probably the most emotional game that we played all season was the David City Aquinas game. Remember, that was 6-0 overtime with a chance for them to beat us. Defensively, David City Aquinas was by far the best team we played. They limited us to the fewest yards that we had all season. They were aggressive. They frustrated us. We had great field position the whole night due to their errors, and our punting and kicking game kept them in the hole. And we had 8 opportunities in the ball game inside the 15-yard line to score, and we didn't score one of them. We had to score in overtime to beat them. So David City Aquinas actually was the team that frustrated us the most, and probably could play with any of them.
Let's take a look now at the second half highlights of the championship football game. What'd you tell them at halftime, Jim?
Very little. Told them that if we scored a touchdown on the kickoff, we'd win, and that's what we did. Not on the kickoff, but in the drive following the kickoff, we'd win the football game, and we did. But there was no emotional rah-rah, Newt Rockney speeches or anything in there, and we just went out to play as hard as we possibly could, and that's exactly what we did. Okay, we're going to have one of the finest drives that we ever had all season right after halftime. Keith Neal is going to run tough. Our blocking is going to be tremendous. Here, Jeff Lassick breaks loose for about a 15-yard run.
A little misdirection play.
Yeah, we run a little trap in there. He runs this really tough. He's not too tall, short, quick back that I'm sure is very difficult to see. Okay, here we run an isolation. Keith Neal breaks a tackle there and runs over a couple people there for a big 15-yard gain. So we're really rolling here. Nothing was going to stop us. We fake a reverse there, and Keith pops loose there for almost another touchdown. So within about 2 seconds here, about a minute and a half here, we just about break the game open here. That's a tough run in there. Good ball handling by Todd Duran. He faked everybody out. So here we run the fullback, and he gets, look at that, he gets 6 or 7 yards with.
Looks like a Mack truck going through Through a pile of boulders.
That's right. Here we faked the cameraman out, and I think that was that was Mark Love, kid we were talking about a little while ago. So here we bang up the middle. We're at about the 4-yard line, and I think we have a first down. Here Keith breaks outside and outruns a man and scores a touchdown. Great effort. Here we see it again. That's what good natural speed does here. That kid had a really good angle on him, and he come.
Really like Novacek. Did he play in defense?
Oh yeah, Novacek was one of the better linebackers that we played against all season. He's really tough. This is a big field, or big extra point here. Like I said, Jeff Pedraza probably had his best night as far as kicking, being consistent. He didn't miss anything. So we felt pretty secure with 8 minutes to go and dominating the ball game like that. We thought, my God, we're gonna probably run away with these guys.
Then zip. Of course, I'm sure they didn't feel they were out of it either.
Oh no, they got some big guns. They have their superstar Novacek, and he's going to come back here in a few minutes in this ball game and dominate us. I mean, that's what a great athlete can do. But I think if you depend on one guy, you're not going to be as good a football team. Here, I can understand what they did. They were in kind of a quarterback sneak that really didn't make any sense to me. And 10 points down and quarterback sneak, it really doesn't make much sense. So here, pop open, speed bump makes that tough tackling in.
What was your scouting report about their passer, Jim?
Well, we were very concerned about him. We felt that he was as good as anybody we'd seen all year, and we were very concerned. We saw the film where they beat Wood River real bad. We saw some other film that their passer was an excellent passer for a sophomore quarterback. And also, we had to realize that Novacek was the quarterback last year, so obviously he could pass the ball from the halfback spot too. So here we play the option very, very good. They fumble the football. We're in great position here, thinking that we're going to get 17 points on the board and break the ball game wide open, and it just doesn't happen. We do get a couple first downs, but I think we're going to have a penalty that's going to stop another drive. Here we go. We pop through there for 6, 7, 8 yards. That's Jeff Lassick again with that trap that we run. Here we run the same. No, we faked.
You faked everybody. Where's the ball? There it is. There he goes.
We ran. I know we ran. We ran a fake there and a pitch, and I figured that was really going to work because we'd run that trap so many times that we really thought it was going to go. Here, I think it's, that must have been a first down there. They stopped the clock. We're very, very close. I mean, here we run up the middle, and I think we get the first down. But anyway, we have great field position here. Jeff Pedraza runs there for another 5 yards. We're setting ourselves up for a touchdown here. We had Todd Peterson got dinged a little bit there. We'll talk about him too much.
Don't have to worry about next week.
No, he's all right.
You're knocking at touchdown.
We're knocking on the door. We think we're going to be there. And here we get tripped. That guy number 71, just stuck his shoulder pad in there and knocks us down. And we miss an assignment. The number 62 should have been blocked. So I think it's third down and pretty short yardage. And here they just totally stuffed the play that's been working pretty good for us. Must not have been third down. This must be. Okay, we had a 5-yard penalty there.
To the air, wide open. Ooh, nice defense.
That could have been possibly called interference.
Right.
There. That was awful close.
See it again.
Let's take a look at this. This is the first time we've seen this. That's very, very close. We got an interference penalty at the end of the ball game that was a lot worse than that. Okay, here we run our fake field goal. Let's see what we have here. We actually have it kind of set up. All we got to do is hit him. But if you can note here, we also had a penalty. Todd Peterson was way downfield there. And all of a sudden, they're going to come to life. We sort of went to sleep right after this play. They play number 14 at quarterback, and we handled the first 3 plays here, and they're gonna march all the way down the field and score on us. So it's the start of the 4th quarter. they hit a man. That was 3rd down and 10. And they hit a man, our cornerback, and Carl Rosa slipped and fell down. And, they're gonna scare us now. We've become a very dominant football team. I tell you, football is a total emotional experience out there, and once you lose the momentum, it's very difficult to get it back. And that's exactly what's happening to us out here.
Yeah, that was another good one. What were you thinking at that time, Jim?
Well, we knew that we could let them score 1 touchdown because we had a 10-point lead, but we were very concerned that they were going to. There was plenty of time for them to score 2 touchdowns, which is going to prove out here later on. But we wanted to make them earn this touchdown, and see that big devil there, he's tough.
Yeah, they were really. Were they known as a big play team during the season?
Well, yes and no. Like right there, that's where they scored the touchdown on us, and we sort of went to sleep. It's a very difficult play to defense against, and Jeff Lassett there is just about a half a step behind the guy, and they score a touchdown. This is a big play right here, where they missed the field goal, or the extra point. If they'd have made that, then a field goal could have tied us, and they might have went in overtime. So with 9 minutes left in the 4th quarter, we're going to do exactly what we had. We're going to drive the ball down there, and that wasn't.
Hopefully it picks it up.
But it was a good tough run there by Keith. Anyway, we're gonna get about 4 or 5 first downs and eat up about 7 minutes of the clock here in this drive, and that doesn't give them much time to score on us.
And your defense is going to be back waiting for them to throw the pass.
Well, we were hoping that we'd be able to stop the pass. The first couple of them that they threw didn't happen that way. Yeah, I think we have a 4th down here and a very short yardage. And apparently we didn't, because we didn't run that play with 4th and short yardage. We must have made the first down on the last play. But I think we're going to have a 4th down and short yardage in this series. We did sometime during the night. And we made it by just inches.
Power running. Set it right.
So we had a very enthusiastic crowd. It was a very tremendous crowd there, and the crowd obviously helps you. So. Well, there we go.
There's your short yardage.
I guess we got the first down. I think that might have happened earlier in the ball game. And we're about on the 50-yard line now. 2nd down. Just about broke this open for a touchdown. They're just reaching in there. And we're really feeling pretty good now because we got her down in 4-down territory, thinking that we're gonna break one for a touchdown and put the ball game away.
Gothenburg says, "What's going on here?" They say, "We got to stop him."
There it is again. We get 5 yards on the first down. Let's see what we do. I haven't seen the film. Normally we take our film in here. Our fullback gets 3 or 4, and they just about steal the ball from him there. That's Jeff Pedraza that thought it could have popped loose. And here's the bad play right there. It was 3rd down and 2, and I'm sure our next play would have probably got a first down or got very close. Now it's 4th and about 1, and tremendous tackle there. I mean, that was a good run. Everything was right, except the guy took Keith's wheels from underneath him, and here they run a bunch of razzle-dazzle stuff. Look at this. And we should have intercepted that ball. Carl is coming up there real close, and could have intercepted that one, and the ball game would have been over. But here they're going to run. Maybe it's not this time yet. It's 3rd down now. It's 3rd down and 10, and I'm sure this is the play where they're going to get a first down. Right over the middle. Oh, this is, excuse me, I'll take this back. This is where I wish they could see that again. This is what they called pass interference on.
Yeah, we will.
They're going to show it again. And it's going to be kind of hard to see, but it looked like to me that our back there, Rick Bogus, made a real clean play, and they called it. It was a very late call, very poor call in my book. Now here, this scared the heck out of me. I was very glad to see Keith there, and then he gets his hand caught. Oh, and I thought, my God, Keith, we're going to get a 15-yard penalty. And That was a great play. They really fooled us. That's the old hitch and pitch. You can see where Keith gets his hand caught in his shirt there.
Keith says, I wouldn't do that, ref. I didn't. It was an accident, really. It
I
was.
thought, oh my God, Keith, what are you doing there?
Let go, Keith.
Yeah, there we have some real good defense. And it's getting pretty tense. There's only about a minute and 20 seconds left.
Right, gray hairs are multiplying.
Yes.
And,
The young coach on the bench here is getting old suddenly. This is a great effort by Todd Jaretsky. Look at that, number 66. Again, I'd love to see that play over again, but and Todd Jaretsky showed you what kind of speed he has. And he's a big 5'9", 230-pound tackle, and he ran that guy down.
I bet the old adrenaline was pumping.
Well,
he probably could have done the 40 in about 4.2 on there.
That's right. Now it's a big down. We got good pressure. Rick Bogus, the guy that just had the penalty, he's protecting the ball. He doesn't want to fumble. He doesn't want to get out of bounds. He plays really smart. He knows it's over right there, and he becomes an instant hero there. That's great.
And now you put a trophy in the trophy case.
Yeah, I think Rick, he knew that he had done the job for us. That's right. And he says the champions, and that was the big play right there. And right now we can kind of run the clock out. Go ahead, one timeout left, and end the ball game. And the quarterback just dropping down on the ball. It's a pretty good feeling to see that sign there, saying state champ. I had to read the paper the next morning to make sure it wasn't.
Now you really did dump bump, right?
Yeah, we did a great job on him. He's a great athlete.
Yeah, he is.
Kids felt that he was a fine athlete and deserves all the credit he gets, although we feel we have some good athletes too. There now, the crowd wasn't supposed to be on the field, but
They didn't tear down the goalpost, did they?
well, no, I tell you what, we told them if they tore the goalpost down, there goes all the money we made in the playoffs. I guess it cost $3,500 to replace those goalposts, so our administration and
Park board.
park board people were protecting those goalposts.
Something maybe like that. They should put up erect standby wooden ones. So here, have a piece of the.
Yeah, but I thought our fans behaved themselves really well. They had a lot of fun out there jumping around but they behaved themselves really well.
It's been a long time coming. We've got some guests in the studio from the state championship team. Jeff Pedraza on my right, and Keith Neal on Coach Puetz's left. Jim, I do have a question. Pretty gratifying, obviously. What were you thinking at the beginning of the season? We talked about that a little bit earlier. You've had a lot of teams that have come close. You've had some setbacks. We're on the way to an undefeated season. You ran into some toughies like, and we talked about Aquinas and Bergen and Boys Town, you know.
Well, we knew that, like I said before, that we were going to have a good football team because several things. We judge our football success a lot on our track success, and we had a very successful track season last year. Plus, we had a successful football season last year, and this happened to be the year where we had the most experience ever coming back that I've had in all the years that I've been coaching. We had something like 8 defensive and 8 offensive starters coming back from the ball club last year, and they were a good football team. They beat some good teams, and they were an excellent football team, and these kids worked hard. They did everything they had to become good athletes, and it was one of those groups that had that charisma. They blended together really well with the younger people, and we felt that, you know, with a little luck, we could go as far as we possibly could. You know, being a state champ is probably really a dream, but I watched state championship games every year, and last year, for instance, Springfield Platteview won the state championship with a team that I felt we could beat. In fact, the team that beat them during the season was Fremont Bergen, and we beat Bergen very easily. So the team that at the end of the season that stays hot and stays healthy and stays at a peak is the team that's going to win. And that's the kind of kids we had this year. Everybody, we didn't have a down week. We didn't have a down game. I mean, we had a couple close games, but we played hard. Maybe we had some bad luck in those games that made them close, but we played hard, and it was a very easy group to coach. I mean, there was no halftime theatrics or rah-rah speeches or whatever that.
Win-win for the Gipper.
Yeah, it didn't take that. I mean, we talked to them, and they knew what to do to be winners, and it was a great group of kids.
Jim, like you told Larry Porter of the World Herald, you talked about luck before. Luck, no injuries, except for maybe one that really to Bonk.
No, Steve Starzyk sprained an
yeah.
ankle during the season, but it takes a lot of things. First of all, you have to have good athletes, and obviously we had good athletes. And along with the athletes, naturally the attitudes and desires have to be there, but I consider a good athlete is naturally going to have these type of things. The next thing you have to have is a little bit of luck. And obviously I think like against David City Aquinas, maybe even Boys Town, we had a little bit of luck. I mean, it would have been bad to lose the game because we were better. It's probably just like last week against Nebraska against Oklahoma. I feel Nebraska had the better football team, but they didn't have any luck. They lost. Okay, as far as the playoffs are concerned, I don't think it took luck to win there. I mean, we were the better football team in all instances there. Although with bad luck, we could have lost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the other thing is stay away from injuries. And we were very fortunate this year. One major injury, well, I should take that back with Jeff sitting here because his finger's still sore. But he broke his finger the second ball game of the season, his little finger, and he had to wear kind of a makeshift type cast that was legal to play with for maybe a month or so. But it didn't keep him out. He might have missed one practice, and that was about it. But in the Boys Town game, Steve Starzyk sprained his ankle and was out until maybe the first game of the playoffs. And really, it was kind of a bad thing for Steve. He's really a good football player, but we made a switch in our offensive line. We moved Bob Klopnowski from tackle to center, and Starzyk was probably ready to play again, but our team was gelling, and it's very difficult to just take your center out of your lineup and put him back to where he was before and then start again. So it was a tough coaching decision not to put Starzyk back in there, but we didn't, and Steve probably got robbed a little bit, some playing time. He's a junior, and he'll be back next year, but he's a good football player, and he was really available for more playing time than he got the last 3 or 4 ball games. And that's just too bad, but he did come back and play on our special teams and did play some defense at the end of the season. So he was the only injury we had. The rest of the kids stayed healthy, and it's probably a combination of a lot of things. When things are going good, nothing goes bad. And I think conditioning and being strong and being part of the weight program.
I was going to say that Scotus has got an outstanding weight program, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
We feel that strength is a big thing. And maybe one of the things that helped us this year that we did a little bit different as far as weights is concerned, this isn't the only time we've lifted weights. I mean, we lift weights forever. We've been lifting weights. We were the first, maybe high school in our area to really have a good weight program, and that's due to my brother Gary. He runs that program and does a heck of a job. But we did something different with our weight program this year, and we lifted heavy during the season with all of our athletes. In the past, we've always had what we call a kind of a maintenance program, and we went on a circuit thing, and we did it after practice when the kids were tired and probably didn't get much benefit out of it. I think they actually regretted it and hated it. Well, this year we did something different. We brought the kids in before school, 7:30, 2 days a week. Each group, we had the backs one day and the line the next day, so each group got 2 full workouts in before school. And maybe that's not any fun to come to school half an hour early. But I think the kids really responded. We had very, very little absenteeism, and I think it might have been the difference between maybe not getting hurt and maybe staying strong. We tested them, and we were actually stronger as the season progressed than we were when we started.
What did you think about that, Jeff? Do you think you've played on the team for 3 years?
Yeah, it was hard getting up in the morning, but you could see it paid off in the end, and it wasn't that bad. It was just a half an hour earlier.
What do you think separated this team from past Shamrock teams that you've been on, namely like last year?
I think probably the dedication, and there were so many seniors that stuck together so solid that it just carried them through the season, and it was like one close-knit group. We all had a lot of fun playing.
I asked Coach Puetz this, what were you thinking at the start of the season?
Well, I knew we could be good, that we just had to put it all together, and I knew that the seniors would carry the rest of the team and do a good season.
I'm sure the Gothenburg game is probably the biggest thrill, but I'm sure there were other games. Coach Puetz said that Aquinas was probably the toughest opponent that's on your schedule.
I'd probably agree, seeing how it went into a double overtime, and it was really nerve-wracking. Like.
Keith, this was your first year on the squad. You had attended Scotus last year, and kind of sat out in this year. What were your goals for this year? Did you know a lot of the guys that were on the team? What was it like coming to a different system?
Well, I knew most of the guys on the team. Like you said, I came over last year and I was through track with them, and we got to be pretty close. We had a good team. You know, I felt everybody was pretty confident in what we did, and we had a dedication and everything. And I noticed a lot of it from like the seniors. The seniors, you know, we had a real well-disciplined group, and the seniors seemed to have picked up stuff from last year's. You know, they had like inner controversies between the seniors last year. And the seniors this year really seemed to pick up on that, and we didn't have any problems, and we seemed to gel real well, and I think that made a lot of difference.
Keith, you picked up a lot of yards during the season. What do you think your biggest game was? Does any one stand out in your mind the most?
Probably the Aurora game, probably more so than any other game. I had 3 touchdowns in that game, and I got the most not career, but yards rushing in 1 year, and the most points, and that was really a joy to me when I came off the field after that game.
Keith, behind every successful running back is a dedicated and solid offensive line. I think
Yes.
Coach Puetz said that this is probably one of the best offensive lines that's ever been played at Scotus. And it was, what about that line? They certainly were big, opened up a lot.
I don't have a whole lot of experience with other football lines, but I know the line I had, I wouldn't want to trade any of them for anybody else. They seemed to work real hard, and they seemed to know where everything was going, and it worked out real well. They were probably, you know, like you said, they were the biggest part of my success. And that and Jeff Pedraza, we kind of jokingly called him a pulling guard because he ended up burying more ends than I've ever seen before in my life. So.
Kind of a combination of speed and what'd you do after the game then? What was it like after when the pass was intercepted and you're running it back and it was being run back and it was all over and Gothenburg had been threatening, and what was it like?
We just got to let it sink in. It probably didn't dawn on us for a couple of days, but we knew that it was all over. And when we had the quarterback kneel on the ball, it was the greatest feeling that we were #1 and state champs.
I asked Coach Puetz about Ron Colley game. What about Ron Colley? You read all the reports in the paper. You probably heard about it on the news in the Omaha area. You know, what'd you think about Ron Colley?
They played pretty good. You know, all the teams who played pretty tough, but I didn't think they were as good as what the paper said. You know, they had some good personnel and they played, you know, a good hard game, but I agree with Mr. Puetz. I don't think they were the hardest game. I don't think we played one of our better games against them. We played a good hard game.
Who'd you think was the toughest game? Your toughest opponent?
I'd say Aurora. Aquinas played good, but I think it had a lot to do with the field out there too. Aquinas was always a good hard team, and you know, I heard there's a rivalry between us and they played pretty tough, but I'd say Aurora probably hit the hardest.
How about you, Jeff?
I'd probably agree. Aquinas, they hit the toughest of the whole year, and probably second would be Gothenburg. I thought they hit really tough too. It was close between them both.
What did you two do during the summer to prepare for this season? Did you do a lot of running, Keith? What did you do, Jeff?
Weights mainly, and running, and just try to keep in condition.
I'm kind of slow as far as running goes. I get kind of tired of that. I rode my bike a lot. I was putting in about like 20 miles a day on my
Is that right?
Yeah, and I was doing that quite a bit, and I lifted quite a bit and played with the football a lot.
Coach, what do you do for an encore?
Well, I tell you what, you know, just like we told our kids, I said, you know, I think our underclassmen could learn a tremendous amount from the quality of athletes that are sitting here, and naturally the ones that aren't. You know, the unity, the togetherness, the way they got along with each other regardless of what class they're in, and sometimes you have these little petty jealousies that sometimes ruin you, and the coaches aren't even aware of this. And I think if our kids, our juniors and our sophomores that saw this happen and see what unity's all about, learn something from this group, they can be equally successful. We look for, well, first of all, we look for a super track year. We thought we were going to win the state championship last year in track, and we got most of the same guys back. And I think for an encore for this bunch of kids is, heck, let's win a double. I mean, we can be champs in football and track both. And I think they can have an excellent basketball team. There's a lot of good basketball players that are on this football team, and I think you know, if they show the same kind of dedication and same kind of leadership qualities, they're gonna have a heck of a good basketball team. And then naturally, as far as myself, with the group of kids, I'm the track coach, and we have the same coaches for track as football, and we're gonna we're going to give it a run there, and we can win a double. And then looking at next year, we're not going to have the depth that we had this year. That's a great luxury. Where, you know, for example, Steve Starzik goes down, and we were able to make a shift. And if you were an observer of our team, you could see no difference in quality. You know, when we put Rick Bogus in there as a defensive player, I mean, he was as good as anybody we had. And we had we had probably 10 kids that could have come in and played starting roles, and you wouldn't have seen much difference in the quality of the football. And next year, if we're going to have anything negative, it's going to be probably a little bit of lack of depth compared to this year. But I think we can be awful competitive next year, and with a little luck, and we can maybe be here on television again and talking about our championship. But I think the whole thing is our kids learned a tremendous amount from the quality of athletes we had this year.
Jim, how does that compare with winning 2 state track and field championships?
Well, I think you know, those were fantastic. Those are great experiences also. And we coach track as a team sport. It's not, you know, if you have a great star, you know, you're going to win the state track meet. And that's probably true, but we don't treat it as that. So we got a great thrill out of our team championships in track. But football is probably a little bit different. First of all, it's probably more highly publicized. It seems like the big thing. It is the big thing in the state of Nebraska. It's the sport. And
Definitely.
And anyway, I suppose it gives you a little bit more prestige, and there's a little bit more pressure, and everything in a football season lasts longer. And it's the start of the school year, and everybody's enthused. And so probably is a super thrill. This was maybe a greater thrill, but I wouldn't throw the other 2 thrills away that we had as far as champions there either. But and naturally, you always remember the thing that's right at hand, the latest thing that happened to you. So, I mean, I was thrilled in track, and I'm super thrilled in football.
I bet it's going to be something that both Keith and Jeff are going to remember for a long time. It's going to be something that you all worked hard for as a group, and you accomplished with an undefeated season and a conference championship and a state championship. What more can you say to that?
I know it's starting to sink in right now. I know right after the game, the only thing I really felt was sore more than it didn't really sink in as being a championship game, but now it's really starting to sink in.